Chapter 43 The Espadañas. Chapter 43 of Noli Tangere, titled The Espadañas, introduces a new pair of characters who serve as a satire of colonial and social pretensions in Philippine society. Don Tiburcio de Espadaña and his wife, Doña Victorina. This chapter highlights their background, behavior, and how they interact with others, particularly within the settings of Capitan Tiago's house. Don Tiburcio is portrayed as a weak, stammering Spaniard who arrived in the Philippines in search of fortune. Although originally poor and unqualified, he ends up posing as a doctor. His timid nature and inability to defend himself allow others, especially his wife, to dominate him. He represents the type of Spaniard who holds power or status in the colony not because of merit, but because of the system's preference for race over talent. Doña Victorina, on the other hand, is a native Filipina obsessed with appearing Spanish. She deliberately acts like a Spaniard, speaks in broken Spanish, and tries to distance herself from her Filipino roots. Her character embodies colonial mentality, the belief that being associated with the colonizers is superior to being a native. She goes so far as to wear excessive makeup and flamboyant clothing to appear more European. Their marriage is not built on love or equality, but on convenience and appearances. Doña Victorina married Don Tiburcio because he was Spanish, even though he was poor and lacking in confidence. In her eyes, having a Spanish husband elevated her social status. For Don Tiburcio, marrying Doña Victorina gave him a stable life in the colony, despite her domineering personality. At Capitan Tiago's house, the Espadañas arrive with exaggerated behavior. Doña Victorina proudly introduces her husband as a doctor and a former high-ranking official, even though these claims are untrue or exaggerated. She speaks in affected Spanish and boasts of their noble background, hoping to impress the other guests. Throughout their visit, Don Tiburcio remains mostly silent and obedient. He stammers when he tries to speak and clearly fears his wife. His positivity contrasts sharply with Doña Victorina's loud and beautiful demeanor. Their interactions show an imbalance of power, their relationship with Doña Victorina controlling the narrative and dominating conversations. The chapter uses the Espadañas as comic relief, but also as a vehicle for criticism. Rizal mocks their pretentiousness and the way they value image over substance. The couple, especially Doña Victorina, represents Filipino who are ashamed of their identity and desperate to climb the social ladder by imitating their colonizers. Rizal is critical not only of Spanish colonizers but also of Filipinos who contribute to their own oppression by upholding the colonizers' values. Doña Victorina's rejection of her Filipino identity and her embrace of a false Spanish image reflects the psychological effects of colonization on the Filipino elite. This chapter also reflects how colonial society rewarded appearances and connections over genuine ability or character. Don Tiburcio, despite being a fraud, can maintain the illusion of success simply because of his race. Doña Victorina, despite being a native, clings to the illusion of Spanishness to gain respect and influence. In summary, Chapter 43 is a humorous yet biting portrayal of colonial mentality and social hypocrisy. Through the Espadañas, Jose Rizal exposes the absurdity of people who reject their identity and heritage for the sake of false prestige. The chapter deepens the novel critique of a society built on deception, appearances, and equality. Isti man ito na-record.
Ha?
Atay.
Ngon?
Buang mo ni.
Wala record?